What's good, guys? So in this video I'm gonna be showing you how you can create a real-time app with FlutterFlow. I'm gonna be showing you a technique that you can use in all of your apps, which is gonna make the experience a lot more pleasant and a lot more useful for your users. And in this specific tutorial, we are going to be creating a real-time mapping app. Okay. Now, before we get started, if you are interested in building software without knowing how to code, without writing a single line of code, doesn't matter if you're technical, non-technical, you want to get into the software business, or you just want to see how things work, make sure you smash a like on this video, leave a comment below, and do not forget to subscribe to this channel. This channel is all about teaching you how you can build software without being a technical person. Now, having said that, let's get started. So if you go into Google Translate, one of the nicest features about it is that you can type and it will automatically translate. So for instance, I can type something like, "What time is it?" And once a certain amount of milliseconds has passed, it automatically translates. As you can see, I don't need to enter a button, I don't need to press a button, I don't need to submit anything, I just type. So for instance, I can say, "What is your name?" And a certain amount of time passes and it automatically translates, you know. And this is very helpful to the users because they don't really need to press enter. It's gonna take a lot of time, it saves them time and agony. And this is actually very, very simple to implement in FlutterFlow. So let me show you how we're going to be doing it, and we're going to be building a mapping app which is going to allow the user to map certain places very, very easily. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to get into FlutterFlow and we want to build kind of the UI for the app. So here I am inside FlutterFlow. I'm going to create a new project. We're going to create a blank app. I'm just going to say mapping. I'm going to say real-time mapping. We're going to say create new. We're going to say next step. We're not going to be using Firebase. We're going to start building. Okay, so now we have our UI. And what we want to do is we want to build a very, very simple UI. We're going to do a column right here. We're going to do a row. And this row is going to be the input for the city, the country, whatever they want. They can enter into this input right here. So I can scroll down and I can drag and drop this text field here, but I don't want to do that. I want to make it nice. So we're going to go into the template library and we're going to scroll down and we're going to try this one. This one is really nice. There's a couple of other ones. Here's another one, but I like this one. It's kind of simple and it works. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drag it right inside that row right there. We're going to go into the hierarchy and make sure it's inside the row, as you can see. It's nicely inside the row. The next thing we want to do is we want to add another row where we are going to list the results, right? We're going to list the results because depending on what they type, we might have one or more results. And we want to make sure they select the right result for what they're looking for before we display what they're seeking. So we're going to comment here. We're just going to duplicate this right here. And now we have another row. Now in this row, we're not going to have an email address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my widgets. I'm going to search for a list and I'm going to drag and drop it. All right, so now we have this list view here. And of course, I can go back and I can just, drag and drop a text field. But we want to be a little bit more elegant. Okay, so we're going to go back to the templates and we are going to search for something nice. So let's go scroll. Let's see what we can find. Something a little bit nicer, we want to go the extra mile. So how about this one? There's a card button with an arrow. Okay, so why don't we drag and drop that right there? And now we have that there. Obviously, it's going to say something else. Okay, and the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure the padding is not that big. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to select the content view, which is a container, as you can see. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to reduce the padding. We're going to make the padding like 5. Okay, so now it's a little bit better looking. And we're going to change this. This is going to display something else. And this is actually going to display the results that we want. So we're going to come back here. We're going to change this email to a city. We're going to say city name. And we're going to scroll down and we're going to say label is going to be enter city. Okay, that's about it. Now, this is very, very important. You want to pick this text field. And what you want to do is you want to enable the show clear field icon. This is a nice touch. But the most important thing is you want to enable this option here, update page on change. You're going to enable it, and here you can specify the delay of when to update that page. So as you noticed in the previous example with Google Translate, is that you're typing stuff and it doesn't update immediately. It waits after you finish typing. Maybe it waits a second, maybe it waits half a second. In this example, we have 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds, and that's fine. The bigger the delay, the less stress there is on the system. You can update it as needed. We're gonna leave it at 2000 for now, just for testing, to see how it works. So we're gonna have that. We don't need a submit button or anything like that. Now, the next thing that we wanna do is we wanna drag and drop a map element here. So we're gonna search for a map, and we're gonna be using a static map. We're not gonna be using Google Maps. We're gonna have a map here. We're gonna select the map. We're gonna scroll down, and we're gonna make the width unlimited. So it stretches to the width of the whole page. So it needs a valid API key, and this is actually a map box. So you're gonna go to mapbox.com, you're gonna create your free account, and you're gonna get an API key. So I already have an account. I'm gonna go in here, and I have an API key right here. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna paste it here. Once I paste it, you see the map shows up, and it shows up to a city that's specified using these latitude and longitude coordinates here, which we are obviously going to adjust dynamically depending on what the user is looking for. Okay, so we have all the elements. Let's fix this up a little bit. I like this better. Let's do that, and we can say real-time map. So now we have the UI. Okay, we have enter city. We have this thing is going to display the available options here, since this is a list view, right? This is a list view right here. And then we have the result of what the user picks, okay? Now, the next thing you guys need to do is you need to go to Mapbox, and you need to kind of familiarize yourself how it works. So if you go into the documentation here, you have various SDKs. SDK stands for Software Development Kit, which is essentially a library of APIs. We are going to go into the search area here, and we are going to go into the search API, specifically the geocoding API, okay? And what this geocoding API does is that it allows a user to type an English name of a location. So for instance, Paris, France, you know, Washington, DC. And as a result, it's going to give coordinates. It's going to do a little bit more than that, but essentially it's also going to return coordinates, okay? So if you scroll down, you have your different kind of data types that you can get and all that, but this is kind of what you're looking for. You are looking for this thing here, okay? So if you copy this, and I use a tool called PO a lot, and PO is a tool that I use for pretty much all the API stuff. You can get this tool as well, simply search for it, or you can use one of the tools that I talked about in the previous video. There's lots and lots of tools that you can use. But essentially, if you copy and paste this and specify your access token like this, and then you specify the endpoint. So the endpoint, it says one of Mapbox places. So we're going to use Mapbox places. We're going to replace this here. And this is the search text. So if I enter Paris here, I have my access token, and I press enter, I get a result right here. You see that? I get a result. And it's going to give me a bunch of locations because Paris is ambiguous. There is Paris, France, but if you scroll down, there's Paris, Texas, there's Paris, Tennessee, there's Paris, Kentucky, and there's Paris, Manisa in Turkey. So there, it gives us 5 results of different Paris locations around the world. So if I type something like Madrid, let's see what it does. Madrid, it gives me Madrid, Spain, and Madridejos, Toledo, Spain. So this matches for Madrid. Then we have Madrid, Colombia. And then we have Madrid, Rio, Spain. So it gives us a bunch of different Madrids out there, okay? And that is why we need to present this list to the user, so the user can pick the right Madrid, and we can display a map for that Madrid, all in real time, all without having the user press the submit button, okay? Now the next thing that you want to do is you want to go to the configuration tab over here, and you want to enter that API. So I'm going to click add an API call. I'm going to say map API. This is going to be get, and I'm just going to copy the API that I was using before, which is taken from the documentation. So we're going to have another parameter, and that's the access token here. and this is going to be string. And the way we pass it is using a query string like this, access token, and any kind of variables inside here that are going to be replaced later on need to be surrounded by square brackets. So I'm going to say access token here. This thing is also a variable. In this example, we're hard coding, but this is going to be city name. And that's it. So we're going to have two variables, city name, going to be string, and then we have an access token. I'm going to say add call. We're going to click on it. We're going to say response and test, and we're going to fill in the values to see if it's working correctly. I'm going to pass my token. I'm going to pass a city name, Madrid, and I'm going to say test API, and we have a success right here, okay? Now, once we have this here, we're going to say save call. You want to always be saving stuff. You want to go back to the app, and you want to make sure it's configured correctly. So for instance, I have this list view here. And I'm going to say this query type is API call. Call name is the call we specify, map API. We're going to add a parameter. The parameter is city name. And the value is going to be dynamic. The value is whatever the user enters. So I'm going to come in here from variable. I'm going to say widget state. We're going to say city name. Okay, confirm. Always remember to confirm because it doesn't save automatically. All right, so now we are passing the right value. Now this is the tricky part here. You want to go, so the city name gets this stuff, but it doesn't do everything. Remember, right now we are getting all of this. What we need to do is we need to take features and we need to break the array apart. Okay, this is a step a lot of people miss. You got to go to this fourth tab here that says generate dynamic children. You got to click on it and you need to generate dynamic children. We're going to say this variable name is going to be cities or places. And we are going to say source is the previous, this map API response options, JSON body, available options, JSON path, and the path we're going to specify is this one right here, place name. Okay, so if you go back here, this is what we want. And this JSON path creates an array of all of these names. So now we just get the data that we want. This is very, very important. Okay, so not only do we need this thing here, we also need this. Okay, so I'm going to say confirm. Okay, and it says there, this widget will now generate its children dynamically from the specified variable. Okay, we're going to hit OK. And now you are seeing the list view in action. As you can see, it's a little grayed out, which means that now we're getting the right array. Okay, always confirm, always make sure it's saved. And now we can come in here and we can say, well, let's display the actual value. Okay, we're going to say set from variable. We're going to say places item. We're going to say JSON path. And that's all we need to do. We just need that $sign because it's an array of strings. It's not an array of objects. It's not an array of anything crazy. It's just an array of strings. And all we need is the string. We're going to hit confirm. Now, as you can see, that variable is this $sign, which is that JSON path name. And so if you run this app, hopefully it's going to do exactly what we wanted to do. All right, so now the app has loaded. And if we type the city name, let's say Paris, we should be getting the right results. So as you can see, we're getting that 5 results right here dynamically. Let's type Madrid. Okay, I let it go for 2 seconds and we're getting the results. Let's do New York. There we have all the 5 results. And this is dynamic. This is very, very nice. And the users really love this functionality. Now, the next thing that we want to do is that when they type the city and they see the results and they click on the list, we want this map to be updated. And the way we're going to do it is that, first of all, the first thing that we need to do is we need to have local state, okay? And you'll understand why. We're going to go to local state and we want to create a state variable. And this variable is going to be called location, okay? That is location of the map. And it's going to be a latitude, longitude. We're going to say create. And let's say we want to set it for default. We're just going to make it Paris, okay? For default, Paris, France. That is the default value. Now, when we go back to the app, we want this thing to always be set from this variable. Okay, so we have it here. We're going to pick location. We're going to say set from a variable, and we're going to say local state, and we're going to pick location. Okay, we want this map to be tied to local state. We have the default, so it knows where to show when it's loaded, but later on we're going to be changing it. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to go here and we want to create an action. Okay, we're going to say add an action, and what this action is going to do is going to change the local state variable. That way, when we click on this, the map is going to get refreshed with the appropriate map, with the appropriate location of the city here. So what we want to do here is we clicked on this row and we want to search for local state. We're going to say update local state, and we say select field to update. We only have one field, and what we want to do is we want to set value. And so we're going to go here, we're going to say from variable, source is going to be places item JSON. We have available, and the way we're going to be setting the variable is we first need to run a custom function, okay? And you're going to see why. So we have a custom function. We're going to create a new custom function, and what this function is going to do is going to take the raw values, the latitude and longitude, and return the data type, the longitude and latitude data type that the map expects. That's what's stored in the local state, okay? So the return type is going to be latitude, longitude. It's not a list. The function name is going to be return lat longitude. We need to make sure this function takes two arguments, and that is going to be latitude and longitude. So we're going to say argument 1 is going to be latitude, and it's going to be a double. It's not a list. And latitude, and argument 2 is going to be longitude, and it's going to be a double as well. And now if we go into code, and that is the full function, right? All it does, it's a very, very simple function. It takes two arguments, latitude and longitude, which we have, which we get from the API, and it returns a latitude longitude object that the map expects. Okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna test it out. So we're gonna do check for errors, make sure everything is legit, and you want to do that because that is very, very important. All right, it says no errors. Now we can hit save, and now we have this function. Now what we need to do next is we need to pass these values, which we have. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna pass latitude. It says value source. We're gonna say from variable. Source is gonna be places item. We're gonna say JSON path, and we're gonna pass exactly what we need. So for instance, remember this, we have the center and we have these two values. This is longitude and this is latitude, okay? So we need a latitude, which is this, center 1, which is the second one. Remember, it starts from 0. And then longitude is gonna be from variable. We're gonna say places item. We're gonna say JSON path, and we're gonna say center 0. Because the first item here, this is longitude and this is latitude. Very, very important to understand that. Longitude, latitude. And that is why we have it reversed, because this function expects a latitude first, followed by a longitude. That is why we're passing the second argument here and the first one here. The map should refresh depending on where we click on, which element we click on. The map should refresh accordingly. So let's run this and see if it works. All right, so here's the app. Okay, we are defaulting on Paris. Okay, so let's say I type Madrid. I type Madrid, I get my results, I click on Madrid, Spain. And guess what we have? We have it centered on Madrid. Now you can control the zoom as well. I just have a default value for zoom that's here. Let's say I choose this Colombia, Madrid. Okay, we have Colombia. This is Colombia. Let's say I pick this part. This is another part of Spain. Okay, let's say I type Moscow. Okay, this is the results. Let's say I pick this one. Guess what we have? Let's say I pick this one, and we are in the United States. Let's say I pick this one, Missouri, and we are here in Missouri. Let's try another example. Let's say I type Bali. Okay, Bali, Indonesia, and that's Bali right there. Then Pasar is the capital. How about this Turkey? Okay, here you have something else. Or this one, we're back in Indonesia. And so that is how you build a real-time dynamic app. In this example, we are using it with maps, but you can also create a translation app. You can create a real-time flight search engine. You can create a search engine. There's unlimited things that you can do using this technique, using the dynamic ability to refresh the page without having to click submit, coupled with a local state. And so that is all that I wanted to share with you guys today. Really hope you've gotten value here. If you did, I would highly appreciate a thumbs up. Leave a comment below, and do not forget to subscribe to this channel. On this channel, all we do is no code. So if you like FlutterFlow and any of the other tools, definitely subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any future videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.